Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about Update 10.10. When this video goes live, it is patch day for the North American server, and other servers will follow suit. So we're going to be going over the main things that you guys need to know about Update 10.10. This is actually quite a large update. There's quite a bit of new stuff coming to the game in this update, but for the purposes of this video, we're just focusing on what you guys really need to focus on in this update. I will have a link to the update article in the description down below if you wish to read the full article. You can also get a free day of premium. There's normally a link hidden somewhere in the article for that free day of premium, so if you want to grab that, make sure you check out the link down below. So as I go through the article, I will throw any relevant images or artwork up on screen for you guys to look at as we go through it. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, Superships are coming back in a special ranked battle season. The article says, Update 10.10 kicks off the 5th season of ranked battles, which you can join at the helms of Superships. Apart from Super Battleship Satsuma and Hanover, which you already had a chance to helm during Grand Battle event in Update 10.5, 4 more Superships await you in-game. The French Supercruiser, the Conda, the American Supercruiser, the Annapolis, the Japanese Superdestroyer, Yamagiri, and the Soviet Superdestroyer, the Zorky. Like their forerunners, the new super ships boast unique features that will allow players to pursue alternative gameplay tactics and employ different decision-making strategies in battle. Conda, Annapolis, and Zorky have one additional firing mode that can be activated by pressing the F key. After switching to this mode, each separate turret can automatically deliver several consecutive salvos in rapid succession, before being subjected to a longer reload time. Now, with the Zorky, which is basically a Calvados 2, I really didn't use it at all in the public test server because it's kind of useless. Annapolis 2, it's not that great on, and the same with the Conda. They've swapped the mechanics around a little bit. They decreased the accuracy of the guns during this rapid fire burst mode on the Conda and the Annapolis, so it's really gimmicky. It's great if a cruiser or a battleship comes around the corner, you got their broadside, and you have AP loaded up. You can deliver quite the punishing blow to them, but then you've got a 40-second reload time after that. And sure, things like Adrenaline Rush modules and even Conda's main battery reload booster, you can get that 40-second reload time down, but it's still going to be north of at least 15-16 seconds on tier 10 cruisers, which is quite long. And to get that low with the Conda, you have to burn a reload booster, which you're really wasting it just for that. Alright, now the Yamagiri is armed with 2 types of torpedoes that can be switched between in battle. The torpedo differs by various parameters such as range, speed, and damage. Switching to the alternative torpedoes takes an additional fixed amount of time that is separate from the reloading mechanic. Torpedo tube reloading is suspended while switching to the alternative torpedoes type and then resumes immediately after. We have changed combat instructions, the unique features of Satsuma and Hanover. Now the adjustment fire bonus will not trigger automatically. Instead, it is now activated by pressing the F key. This change will allow those super battleships to apply the power-up bonus at the most optimal moment. That is really nice because to activate Hanover's, and Satsuma's, you just have to get a certain number of salvos to land near or on an enemy target. So like the Hanover, when you fill up that bar on your reticle, it would just pop automatically, and you would have a 14-kilometer secondary range, which is great if there's something within that range. But a good amount of the times, you would pop it and nothing's within range. So now you can hold on to it and pop it when you need it. All 6 superships will be available for rent from random bundles that can be obtained in exchange for a new resource, supership tokens, in the Armory. You can earn tokens by completing special combat missions playing tier 10 ships. This will help us prevent the battle queue from filling up with superships only. In addition to ranked battles, you can also helm superships into co-op battles, a great place to tame the new ships and to get to know the mechanics in a more relaxed environment. That is very true. Alright, so this ranked season is going to be 7 vs 7, tier 10, and superships all in 3 leagues. This season is divided into 6 sprints. The first sprint lasts 1 week. All other sprints run for 2 weeks each. Each new sprint starts immediately after the end of the previous one. This season will not feature submarines. The matchmaker will apply the standard ship type restrictions in terms of superships. Teams lineup will be mirrored. Details of the new ranked battle season and superships will be released in a dedicated article on our website. I really don't know how I feel about ranked apparently being the new beta test mode. Like, I get that a whole lot of players don't really play the PT client because, well, various reasons. You're not really grinding any resources out for your main account. The rewards on the PT client aren't that great, but trying to shoehorn them into ranked is, especially with new ships like they did with submarines last time, kind of painful, especially for those that really want to get their still for that ranked season. So I'm really not too much of a fan of that. Alright, Arms Race is returning. Arms Race is a mode that, if you haven't played, is a whole lot of fun. It leans into the more arcadey side of the game. You can go around the battlefield, collect buffs and power-ups for your ships that can stack, and it's a whole lot of fun. So this time around, the format is 12v12 on tier 9 and 10 ships. The maps are Islands of Ice, Sleeping Giant, Warrior's Path, Mountain Range, and Northern Waters. The new narration features new buffs that boost armament damage and increase the current and maximum HP values. We have also introduced the following changes. The XP regeneration buff turned out to be overly effective compared with others and reduced the appeal of the repair party consumable for players. That was very true. We have reduced the efficiency of the buff while also refocusing it to first restore the parts of the ship that cannot be repaired by the repair party consumable. So like if you get like nuked in your citadel, normal repair parties consumables can't repair more than a certain amount of citadel damage. So the buff will start there before going to the rest of your ship. Okay, the following buffs have been removed. Consumable cooldown time reduction for ships and squadrons, ship acceleration and rudder shift time reduction, and the engine cooling aircraft consumable cooldown time reduction. God, that's a mouthful. Reload acceleration turned out to be inefficient. It provided a significant bonus only after several levels this picked up. Players were only able to achieve this in the middle or closer to the end of a battle. Most ships are typically left with just a few consumable charges or none at all. Boosting ship speed and maneuverability was excessively effective for a limited number of ships. For most ships, this boost was of little benefit. That was very true, especially playing like battleships. Players will now earn XP and credits for picking up buffs, and the maximum number of levels of the same type buffs has been reduced from 6 to 3. This will enhance the overall effect provided by each particular level. Details of the Arm Race will be released at a later date. Okay, so Arms Race is coming back. This is a mode that I really like, and I would like to, especially now with the amount of temporary modes that we've had introduced into the game, I would very much like to see a game mode of the week. I think I've said this probably, 15 times by now, but I'm going to keep saying it until they hopefully do it. Where like 1 week it's Arms Race, next week it's Convoys, week after that it's asymmetrical battles, then historical battles, then, well, if they weren't adding in the Superships into the main tech lines, it could have been grand battles as well. Just kind of rotating out each week to add a bit of spice to the game modes that we already have, which is quite lacking. Alright, the Julio Cesare is coming back, except it's in the Soviet tech tree now, well, not tech tree, in the Soviet tree, and it's a premium ship, and it's Russian, it's the Novorossiysk. So, the cool thing is, you can get the ship for free, completely for free. So here's how you do it. A week after update 10.10 goes live, players will be able to access 5 themed combat mission groups named Novorossiysk Service. Completing these combat mission groups, as well as individual missions, will reward you with expendable camouflages and signals. Once you have completed the 5th group, you will get the Novorossiysk, a commander with 6 skill points, and a port slot. That's very nice. It's a free tier 6 premium ship. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking this, or probably have already typed it in the comment section before I can even talk about it. Yes, unfortunately, a lot of times the free premium ships that they give away are a little lacking, shall we say, in terms of their performance. Although some do get better with time, like the PEF. When the PEF came out, shoot, God, I think it was right after I got GK. All those years ago, free tier 6 German battleship, right? Yeah, but it wasn't that great. But now after the changes to the secondary skills and how tier 6 secondary battleships just got an absolutely massive buff, it's quite a decent ship. So we'll see how the Novorossiysk performs in game. It's a tier 6 Giulio Cesare. It's a little bit different in some places. I have a whole video comparing the two ships if you want to go check that out. Link will be somewhere in the description. But I'm excited to finally be able to get my hands on the Julius Caesar after not having it for so long. It's one of the few ships I actually don't have because it came out before I even started doing this channel. Alright, Soviet CVs. The full line is released with update 10.10. Feels like they've been in early access for forever. So the Nakhimov will now be available to they'll all be available to research in the tech tree, and the Nakhimov will be available. So if you don't know the features of this branch, they are a one flight, one attack style branch, meaning that all the planes in the squadrons attack at once, although the squadrons aren't too big, and the planes typically don't have a lot of health. Actually, they really don't have a lot of health at all. So that way, when a squadron's coming at you, let's say there's 5 planes in the flight, you can shoot down 2 of the planes in the flight, and that will reduce the amount of ordnance being thrown at your ship. Now, we've seen all these ships in game for quite some time, with the exception of the Nakhimov. The Pobeda, the Serov, the Komsomolets have been out in early access for quite some time now, along with the Chukolov, which is the tier 8 premium ship. The Nakhimov, I've seen this ship on the PT server. You guys might have seen that in yesterday's video when I talked about the Gibraltar. This sucker hurts a lot if you don't shoot down a decent bit of planes. So it'll be an interesting time seeing how this ship maybe gets changed over some time. I do believe it probably will, just seeing how it performs in the PT client. But again, we'll see what it's like on the main client as well. So, as many of you know, because I've been talking about it quite a lot, especially on streams and such when we play on the PT client, we're getting the sequel to Water 2. So, they say, new Water simulation and visuals have been completely reworked for all maps. The new simulation system can create waves of any shape and height while also adding realism to wave dynamics. This means that waves will now gently rock a ship, and the ship will produce a response that varies according to the wave height. This change will not affect gameplay. We have improved the display of the sun glitter path over water and other optical effects on the water surface, added dynamic seafoam, and updated the ship wake effects. With low graphic settings, water simulation will remain unchanged. On top of that, too, quite a few maps now have 4K textures. HD textures on maps. We are launching a massive update for all maps and ports to accommodate enhanced HD textures. In update 10.10, high detailed textures will be added to the Two Brothers and Hotspots maps, as well as the Philippines, St. Petersburg, and Twitch Prime ports. Future updates will bring high detailed textures for other maps and ports. However, like with the HDR lighting, such an update requires a huge amount of content to be reworked and an individual approach to each map and port. For that reason, adopting the new technology for all maps and ports in the game will take time and will be implemented incrementally with the release of future updates. Underwater world, vegetation, and animations. We have continued to improve the underwater world in our game. In update 10.10, we have added underwater vegetation on the Two Brothers and Hotspots maps. The underwater world will also appear on the Haven, Sleeping Giant, and Crash Zone Alpha maps. In the nearest updates, we will focus on adding improvements to the underwater world on other maps as well. That looks actually really nice. Oh, look, there's fish. There's fish there. Huh. That's cool. Vegetation has been enhanced on all maps and in all ports. Trees look more realistic with enhanced shading and rays of sunlight shining through the green foliage. We have also reworked the wind-tree interaction. I didn't know there was freaking wind in this game. We have added more trees and other green foliage on maps. This looks really nice. I'm not sure if they uploaded these screenshots in, but they look really freaking nice. Ports and maps with HD textures now features birds, fish, flying flags, and other moving objects. We will continue adding more animated objects to the maps and ports over time. And I cannot say this enough, boys. I played this on the PT server, and they featured these maps quite a lot on the PT client when Superships were in testing, and it looks absolutely beautiful if you have a PC that can crank everything up to maximum, which isn't really too much, considering this game isn't, even with these updates, it isn't that graphically demanding. of your PC, and it looks beautiful. I really cannot wait for these updates to go live. I'm probably actually crying a little bit playing the matches you're seeing in the background, because I'm looking at the old graphics after looking at these graphics here on this article. And again, absolutely hats off to the art department. They are definitely hard carrying the game at this point. All right. Clan Battles. So, Clan Battles comes back this go-round. It starts on the 16th of November and goes through January 16th. So, CVs are not allowed this go-round, thank God. No more than 2 BBs per team, and a team cannot have 2 identical ships in its lineup, meaning that you can't do the wall of Stalin where you have 7 Stalingrads, just forming an impenetrable wall of Soviet bias down the line. So that's a great change. It's definitely needed after the Tier 6 season of CBs. That season was absolute pain, and I will not miss it at all, one bit. In fact, I'm going to try to forget that season even existed. Big change. Submarine tweaks have been implemented when you guys should be watching this, at least for you North American viewers. So, they say the periscopes of submarines have been piercing through waves in live server random battles for an entire update now. We are all well aware of that. We're extremely grateful to our players for the battles played, helming or countering submarines, and for all the feedback that is helping us shape the new ship type and make the experience of helming or countering them more interesting and engaging. In Update 10.10, we have introduced a number of important changes for this ship type based on collected data and your feedback. Changing to torpedoes. The only meaningful weapon that submarines carry is their torpedo tubes. Mechanics like sonar pings and homing are essential for submarines as a ship type to offer distinctive and interesting gameplay that is relevant for an action-packed battle. This, however, comes at the cost of subs being fragile and firing only a tiny number of torpedoes per salvo. But even though the data suggests that submarine torpedoes are not overpowered, we have heard our players say, what? Even though the data suggests that submarine torpedoes are not overpowered. Okay. We have heard our players say that submarine torpedoes are currently both effective and easy to master at the same time, while countering them poses quite a challenge. When used wisely, sonar pings could give sub-captains everything at once, i.e. both torpedo homing and increased damage. For the other ship types, interacting with such torpedoes in battle could hardly be called a pleasant experience. That right there is a very truthful sentence. To solve this problem, while preserving the unique gameplay of submarines, we split their torpedoes into 2 types. They receive different bonuses from sonar pings. The first type is homing torpedoes. These have reduced maneuvering capabilities, and the distance at which they cease to home and on cruisers and destroyers is increased by a factor of 2, so roughly little over a kilometer for cruisers now and just under a kilometer for the destroyers now. The other characteristics correspond to those currently in effect for submarine torpedoes. As long as the effect of one sonar ping hit remains active, these torpedoes will home in on a target. The effect of a second sonar ping hit improves homing, but does not make it any better than it currently is in the live server, nor does it have any effect on how much damage the torpedo can deal. So, and they said this in the dev blog, they didn't really elaborate on it here. They said they increased the range at which the torpedoes stop homing by a factor of 2 for cruisers and for DDs. But here they said it improves the homing, but does not make it any better than it is in the live server. So, there's 2 ways you could take that. You can take that as, well, that means the degree at which they're going to home, meaning how hard they home, will basically be like it is on the live server right now. Does that also mean that the dehoming distance is the same as on the live server, or is it still the 2 times range increase that is happening in this update? I would want some clarification on that. But the big thing is, you can't get the improved damage with the double ping anymore on the homing torps. The other type comes in the form of torpedoes that can deal increased damage. Their standard damage is slightly higher than that of homing torpedoes. The effect of the first sonar ping hit reduces the detectability range of the torpedoes by 25%. A second ping hit increases the damage dealt to the target by a factor of 2 if the torpedo hits the ship's anti-torpedo protection. with the ping hit effect still active. This type of torpedo can home in on a target vertically, i.e. it can ascend or descend depending on the position of the target in the sub, but not horizontally. So basically these can't home with the exception of rising up to the surface level. That's it after that. I think this is an absolutely massive improvement on submarine gameplay. The ability to just ping a ship twice and proceed to just nuke it out of existence was utterly ridiculous to me, and the homing on cruisers and destroyers was beyond just insane. So they don't tell us how much the homing's been reduced. I think if you still have submarines in port right now on a rental period, you will still have them after this update, so I'll be very interested to see how these work now. And it's just like the Yamagiri in terms of selecting torpedoes. You have to choose between the two types, and it takes time to, of course, switch between the torpedoes. Oh, well, they just say that right here, too. Okay. Submarine spotting range at depth. Apart from their damage-dealing capabilities, subs are pretty good at detecting hostile ships while underwater. We decided that these capabilities were excessive and they did not fit well into the basic concept of the ship type. For this reason, the standard range of surface to ship detectability by submarines at their operating depth has been... Okay, so basically, you can't spot ships once you go under the water anymore, unless it's the 2-kilometer assured detection range. Good change there. I don't know why submarines are even able to spot ships once their periscope went down, because they literally don't have windows on them. You know, windows are a structural weakness, so yeah, can't have them on submarines. They are increasing the time it takes to go to periscope depth, because players were kind of able to abuse that a little bit, so they've increased this and got rid of that exploit. And they note that testing will continue as well. Okay. Armory. So, 2 new ships are coming to the Armory. One we talked about yesterday, the Gibraltar, the Tier 10 British heavy cruiser. If you don't want to watch the full Gibraltar review video from yesterday, long story short, I'd pass on it. It's an interesting ship. The guns are pretty good, but everything else about the ship isn't that great. It's very squishy, doesn't get torpedoes, doesn't get an improved heel. Sits high up out the waterline, is a big target, but it's basically a Goliath with Minotaur AP with the improved pen angles and such, but it only has AP, no HE, so I'd give it a pass. But it is available in the Research Bureau for 59,000 research points. Now, Tulsa's coming out, and it is a little Des Moines, and it is coming out for 228,000 coal. I do also suspect, since it is a Tier 9 ship, you will be able to simply buy it outright for about $80. So I'll probably be picking that ship up tomorrow and trying her out and seeing how she performs in battle. Alright, there's some other tweaks and stuff here. The only thing worth a note is that the balance changes to Petro, Zao, and FDR are going into effect with this patch. They do note that the changes are small, and they will need to adjust them as time goes on, but like I said before, these small tweaks are much better than having these big sweeping changes at once. Then they have to go back in and undo these big buffs or nerfs. Zhao's getting 2,500 HP back to her hit point pool, and they nerfed the health of FDR's planes by a little bit as well, and they increased the reload time on the Petropavlovsk, I do believe. So that's all the major changes. They are coming in update 10.10. There's a decent bit more here if you want to check out the article, but I could probably go on for another freaking 15 minutes if I wanted to do so with all the little changes and such. So go check out the article for yourself if you want to know more and claim that 1 day of premium time. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to an update 10.10 in the comments down below. And to everyone in the North American server, I'm very envious that you're getting to play the game in its new, very shiny state with all the new graphical changes and such while I am at work when this video goes live. So anyway guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subs. We just passed 29,900 yesterday. We are very, very, very close to that 30K goal. I cannot wait to get there so we can get on going with the giveaways that I have planned for that. So make sure you stick around for that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. I also hope to catch you guys in the next one.